Live from the BDN Studios, it's Bang and Dang.
That's awesome.
If you don't like that, then
You ain't black.
Welcome back to Battle of the American Civil War, which holds Bang and Dang as we continue on in Atlanta and we continue on in Petersburg. And we also got another edition of Early Jubal Early. Still causing a ruckus up there by Maryland and all that good stuff. We got the Battle of Utoy Creek.
All right.
Utoy Creek.
Hey.
We got the Battle of Moorefield. We got the Battle of Second Dalton.
All right.
And we got the Battle of the Second Battle of Deep Bottom, which we just had the first battle a couple weeks ago.
Deep Bottom, but ironically, it's a shallow creek.
Right. Before we get that out, check out our YouTube at Bang Dang Network, where we post shorts, clips, full episodes, and our YouTube exclusive Dart League. Also, you can join our channel for 99 cents a month to get all these episodes early, at least a day. That includes our Outlaws and Gunslingers podcast. If you're just listening on Spotify, Apple, answer that Spotify question, share us with your friends, give us a review. And moving on to Utoy Creek. Ooh. I think there's only one lengthy one here, and that's Moorefield, I want to say, is the lengthiest battle. But we're into August already.
Oh,
Utoy Creek.
Moving along.
Fucking Creek.
Utoy Creek. Go down our creek.
It was 4th to the 7th of August, 1864, during the Atlanta campaign. Major General William T. Sherman's Union armies had partially encircled the city of Atlanta, which was being held by Confederate forces. Yes, Sherman had at this point adopted a strategy of attacking the railroad lines into Atlanta, hoping to cut off his enemy's supplies. Oh. After failing to envelop Hood's left flank at the Battle of Ezra Church, which was 2 episodes ago, Sherman still wanted to extend his right flank to hit the railroad between East Point and Atlanta. He transferred Major General John Schofield's 23rd Corps of the USA Army of the Ohio from his left to his right flank and sent him to the north bank of Utoy Creek.
Oh, shit. Get on that north bank. Although Schofield's troops were at Utoy Creek August 2nd, they, along with the 14th Corps Army of the Cumberland, did not cross until August 4th. Initial attack by the regular brigade against J. Patton Anderson's division of the Confederate States of Stephen Dill Lee's Corps was unsuccessful. Dill. In addition, the Confederates dismounted a brigade of cavalry, Armstrongs, in front of the Federals in a deception plan. A feinted attack that was successful in delaying the combined force of the 23rd and the 14th Corps of the United States Army. Schofield made an additional movement to exploit this situation on the morning of 5th of August, 1864. All right, so we get some trickery going on here, huh? Or not even trickery, I don't even know.
Right. Although initially successful, Schofield had to regroup his forces, which took the rest of the day. The delay allowed the Confederates to strengthen their defenses with an abatis, which slowed the Union attack when it restarted on the morning of August 6th. The Federals were then repulsed with heavy losses by William B. Bates's division and failed in an attempt to break the main defenses to gain the railroad. August 7th, the Union troops moved toward the Confederate main line, skirmishing and extending to the right and entrenched. All right. You guys want to battle? We'll battle. Let's dig.
Right. Dig, baby, dig. Several attacks were made at Sandtown Road, which is now Campbellton at Adams Park on the 10th of August.
Okay.
And East Point on 18th of August. Here, United States forces remained as far south as Atlanta Christian College till late August 1864. When the failure of Schofield's offensive operations convinced Scheumann to move on the old rebels' lines of communication and supply. Private Samuel Grimshaw of the 14th Army Corps was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor for his actions against the old rebel artillery battery along the Sandtown Road during the main attack on August 6, 1864, which is now Cascade Road.
Private Benjamin Van Ralte was nominated for the Congressional Medal of Honor for the recovery of the unit colors of the 25th Michigan Infantry.
Oh, look at that shit.
Haskell's division, the 23rd Army.
Fantastic.
The Federal colors were captured by the Confederates of Armstrong's brigade of cavalry dismounted as infantry. The Confederate Corps commander, Lieutenant General Stephen D. Lee, cited Bates's division and especially Tyler's and Lewis's brigades for the repulse of the superior enemy force and the capture of 200 prisoners and 3 stands of colors.
So basically nothing went on here.
Well, got some colors.
All right.
And they
entrenched and set up for
stopped them from cutting off their supplies again. Once again.
Wow. Let's move on to the Battle of Moorefield. It was a cavalry battle which took place on the 7th of August in 1864. The fighting occurred along the South Branch of the Potomac, north of Moorefield, West Virginia, in Hardy County. National Park Services groups this battle with Early's Washington raid and operations against the B&O Railroad. So it's all combined with all that. It was the last major battle in the region before General Philip Sheridan took command of the Union troops in the Shenandoah.
Okay.
During June and July of 1864, Confederate forces under the command of General Jubal Early patrolled the Shenandoah Valley.
Yes, they did. Early's successes were a political liability for old Abe and caused Union leaders to divert resources away from Richmond and West Virginia.
Oh, shit.
Union soldiers from the Army of West Virginia began arriving via the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad in Martinsburg, West Virginia, July 19th, and had initial success at the Battle of Rutherford's Farm just last week. Nope. 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
A few days later, Early tricked Union General George Crook into believing that Early had sent a large part of his Confederate force to Richmond.
He did. Well, the result of this deception was a July 24th rebel victory near Winchester, Virginia, at the Second Battle of Kernstown, which we had already. Union troops, in some cases, panic-stricken, retreated to the north side of the Potomac River. Like, ooh. I can see him running across the Early, who had threatened the federality capital of Washington, D.C. during the first half of July, followed his Kernstown victory with an attack on Northern Territory.
He did.
He dispatched 2 brigades of cavalry under John Jacob James Smith. He dispatched 2 brigades of cavalry under General John McCausland and also General Bradley Johnson to conduct raids in Pennsylvania.
Ooh. This is fair to say these guys don't get along. McCausland was the force's commander and led the 1st Brigade, while Johnson commanded the 2nd.
Okay.
Their purpose was to burn northern towns unless they received a ransom.
Oh.
Which we know they burned Chambersburg and attempted to burn Cumberland. I don't think they succeeded in Cumberland. July 29th, McCausland's cavalry force crossed the Potomac River west of Williamsport, Maryland, with the assistance of diversionary crossings at other locations by General John D. Imboden and Colonel William Mudwall Jackson.
Oh.
Panic spread throughout the region as McCausland moved toward Chambersburg.
Oh, shit.
The Confederates are coming. The rebels are coming.
The Rebs are coming. Union troops nearest to McCausland belonged to General William W. Averill, who was stationed in Hagerstown, Maryland. And he had troops guarding nearby fords along the river. Averill had only 1,260 men and 2 pieces of artillery in his command. Averill's communications were cut around noon.
Uh-oh.
Oh, shit. After Early's excursion north of Washington a few weeks earlier, Averill was under pressure to make sure that Washington and Baltimore were never attacked.
Right, we need these railroads, boys.
Averill's spies discovered that Federals were moving east.
Wait, are we talking about the railroad, or are we talking about the cities?
I think the cities.
Right.
Averill's spies discovered that the old Rebs were moving east on the Baltimore Pike, and Averill mistakenly assumed that they planned to attack Baltimore.
Yeah, it was a mistake. He cautiously positioned his force, which was under half the size of McCausland, to protect Baltimore instead of moving directly to Chambersburg.
No.
The Confederate troops were merely a patrol that eventually retreated back to Chambersburg.
Damn right they did.
This delayed Averill's arrival at Chambersburg and allowed the Confederates to raid and burn Chambersburg virtually unopposed July 30th.
That's ridiculous.
Damage to the town was devastating. 537 homes, businesses, and other structures destroyed.
Son of a bitch.
Dude, I mean, come on.
You bastards. This included all the stores, all the hotels, 2 mills, 2 factories, and also a brewery.
Oh, no, not the brewery.
Anything else but that. Son of a bitch.
Well, at least a mill to mill down the shit for the brewery.
Man,
You got to keep one.
dumbass. And at least a hotel. After burning Chambersburg, McCausland moved west and rested his horses. Later that day, Averill arrived in Chambersburg and then continued to pursue McCausland.
Imagine that, riding up and all you see is smoke for a mile, probably.
Son of a bitch. You probably feel like Indians when they come back from a hunt.
Right.
And their little pack has been attacked by other Indians when everybody's dead.
Right.
You're like, oh, man. His actions may have prevented the burning of Hancock in Maryland and McConnellsburg and Bedford in Pennsylvania.
All right, good for him.
McCausland planned to burn Hancock, Maryland, after not receiving a ransom of $50,000, which was $765,000 in 2016.
So we can say about 900 grand today, probably.
This intensified, or 600,000.
Right.
This intensified a rift between McCausland and Johnson, who was from Maryland himself. He was like, What the fuck you thinking?
Oh,
Why would you burn Hancock?
Well, Johnson denounced his commander and ordered some of his men to protect the town and its residents.
This dude was from Maryland. He's fighting for the South.
Right. The near mutiny ended when Averill's cavalry approached. Averill's men skirmished with McCausland's rear guard. McCausland had been able to secure fresh horses and escape.
Oh, fantastic.
Averill's horses were
to go with it?
exhausted, and he was forced to pause in his pursuit.
Damn it.
He could not secure fresh horses since any in the area had already been taken.
Damn you.
Averill rested his troops until August 3rd when he received an order from General David Hunter to pursue McCausland and attack wherever found.
All right, cool. That worked out well.
I think he was doing that anyways. We didn't need you to do anything, David.
Right. By the time Averill received his orders to renew the pursuit of McCausland, the rebels had already threatened Cumberland. McCausland was held off by artillery led by General Benjamin Franklin Kelly.
Not today, Causland.
Not today, ribs. With considerable difficulty, McCausland crossed the Potomac River and made camp near Springfield, West Virginia, and on the South Branch River.
Or on the South Branch River,
Right.
anyway.
The very next day, they moved toward Romney, and they rested until August 4th, and Mitt was scared.
Right.
4th of August, the old rebel cavalry continued with their second objective. And guess what that objective was? You guessed it. Disrupting the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad.
Well, they attempted to raid New Creek, which is present-day Kaiser, West Virginia. General Kelly sent a train load of reinforcements to defend New Creek, which had well-positioned artillery but a small force.
Right.
The reinforcements.
That's all you need is that artillery.
Right. Those reinforcements, the artillery, and difficult terrain forced the Confederates to retreat south and abandon their raid.
Oh, my.
After aborting the raid, the Confederates retreated south, towards Moorefield. We know this. McCausland believed that Averill was still in Hancock and was therefore not an immediate threat.
What an idiot.
He selected a campsite suited for grazing horses instead of defense.
Oh, you dumb son of a... Why are these guys so stupid?
Right.
Johnson's brigade occupied the north side of the South Branch Potomac River, while McCausland's brigade camped on the south shore. The camps were north of Moorefield and south of Romney, along the main north-south road
Right.
between the two communities and closer to Moorefield.
All right.
Fantastic. So if you guys
This is why it's called the Battle of Moorefield,
if you guys are in that area, it's that general area,
Right.
somewhere over there. The route back to Shenandoah Valley was east out of Moorefield along the Wardensville Road, which led to Wardensville and Winchester.
All right.
McCausland established his headquarters at Samuel McMitchen's home in Moorefield, leaving his brigade under the command of Colonel James Cochran from the 14th Virginia Cavalry. Horses, they were unsaddled and they were fed.
Oh, unsaddled too.
That's rough when you got to saddle them bitches back
Right.
up. But you got to get it off. It can't be all that weight on the horses all
They
day.
gotta rest.
Right.
Johnson made his headquarters closest to his brigade at a mansion named Willow Wall that was owned by the McNeil family.
Fantastic.
Each brigade had 2 pieces of artillery. Johnson kept several groups of pickets north of his camp along the main road. Captain John Hance McNeil, leader of McNeil's Rangers, is his family's, that normally patrolled the area, probably, recommended that McCausland reposition the 2 brigades because he did not believe the campsites were ideal for the security of the troops.
Oh, really?
Well, as what usually happens, his advice was disregarded.
Of course.
So he moved his Rangers to a more secure site about 8 miles away from McCausland. He says, fuck you guys.
Right.
I ain't stupid.
Jeez. Wow. Well, earlier, while the old rebels attempted to raid New Creek, Averill's forces crossed the Potomac at Hancock, which is in Maryland, and they headed for Springfield, West Virginia.
Which is in West Virginia.
Which is north of Romney. He was losing horses due to exhaustion.
Yeah.
But at Springfield, he received food for his men.
And beer for his horses.
Right. it was sent by General Kelly. Around this time, he learned about... They didn't really get beer for the horses. They had food and water.
Right.
Around this time, he learned about McCausland's unsuccessful raid at New Creek. He's like, well, that's nice. And that McCausland was moving toward Moorefield. He arrived in Mitt Romney around 11 a.m. on August 6th.
Arrived in Mitt Romney.
He arrived in Mitt Romney's rear.
At that time, he sent a battalion of men from the 22nd Pennsylvania Cavalry away from the main road to Wardensville Road. This battalion, led by Major George T. Work,
First time we heard this guy.
was instructed to block McCausland's route back to the Shenandoah Valley at Lost River Gap while Averill approached from behind, or approach McCausland from the east if fighting had begun.
Oh, shit.
During the afternoon, Averill gathered more information and devised his plan for a surprise attack.
Oh, shit. A pop attack. That's the pop quiz. It's a pop attack.
Pop attack.
Pop attack. Woo, woo, woo. Averill's main force continued southward. 1 a.m., August 7th. These guys are going by moonlight. Fantastic. The force was led by a group of scouts dressed in Confederate uniforms.
Ooh.
While the main force followed. You don't want to do that in the middle of the night.
Why not?
Friendly fire, man. But I guess if they know.
All right.
While the main force followed far enough behind that they could not be detected.
There's 1,200 of them.
The scouts were led by Captain Thomas Kerr of the 14th Pennsylvania Cavalry, and his men were selected specifically for this very mission.
Oh, look at them, special.
Right. While the scouts led the advance, the main body followed at a distance.
Yes.
And had to frequently stop while the scouts made sure it was safe for the main force to proceed.
All right. Many of the men would
Wish death on me.
on me. Lie down by the roadside, brittle rind in hand, and snatch a few minutes of sleep while waiting for the scouts to signal it was okay to continue. What are you going to do?
Fantastic.
About 2:30 a.m., Kerr scouts deceived and captured a two-man picket from Johnson's brigade. Hey, it's friendlies. All right, put your fucking hands up. From this action, the scouts learned the location of the next set of pickets and quietly captured two more squads of rebels posted along the main road.
Oh,
These guys.
Well, yeah, that's fantastic, right? Averill approached Johnson's brigade on the main road from the north. Kerr's squad, dressed as rebels, led the advance, as we all know.
Right. How many times can we say Kerr's squad led the advance, guys?
Dressed as rebels.
Right.
Next came Averill's 1st Brigade, also called the Advance Brigade, which was commanded by Major Thomas Gibson and consisted of Gibson's 14th Pennsylvania Cavalry, the 8th Ohio Cavalry. Averill's plan was for Gibson's brigade to attack using their sabers.
Oh.
I was like, you guys feel like fighting with swords? I'm like, yeah. And it was going to attack using their sabers, and they would continue to the river. Averill rode this brigade. Averill rode with this brigade.
All right, look at you, Averill.
Surprise was important for Averill's force, since it was outnumbered approximately 3,000 to 1,760.
All right. Well, the 2nd Brigade, commanded by Colonel William H. Powell.
That's really not outnumbered, though.
Right. Well, that consisted of 3 West Virginia cavalry regiments plus the 1st New York, which was the Lincoln Cavalry attached. The Lincoln Cavalry Detachment, commanded by Captain Abram Jones, rode on the west side of Gibson's brigade, while Powell and the West Virginian rode on the east. Powell had the 3rd West Virginia Cavalry in the lead, followed by the 1st West Virginia Cavalry. 2nd West Virginia Cavalry was held in reserve and also guarded the pickets that had been captured earlier in the pre-sunrise morning.
Fantastic.
Pre-sunrise morning, all right. Powell rode with the 1st West Virginia. Further east, Major Works, 22nd Pennsylvania Cavalry Battalion, was in place on the Wardersville Road and moving west towards Moorefield.
Oh, shit. Look at these guys setting up, getting a plan, being all...
They're being sneaky. Can they get a surprise attack, though?
Right. At dawn, Kerr's squad, still dressed as rebels,
I would assume.
casually rode by the 1st Maryland Cavalry Regiment, which were Confederate. Damn, Confederate.
Hey, boys.
Confederate had a Maryland?
They do now because they're in Maryland.
Wow.
Hey, boys. Doing all right? All right, we'll see you. Cut you down
Getting
the road.
those Yanks?
Right.
Oh, yeah. However they yell.
Whoa! Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Oh, shit. And he proceeded west of the road to the McNeil House, which is Willow Wall, where Johnson made his headquarters.
Uh-oh.
They were near the tiny community of Old Fields, and sometimes this battle is called the Battle of Old Fields.
Okay.
No weapons were fired until Kerr reached the house. At this very time, Averill's advance brigade, led by Major Gibson, attacked. Oh, shit.
Oh, Gibson's advance brigade quickly caused the Confederate 1st Maryland Cavalry and then the 2nd Maryland Cavalry to flee in the wildest confusion.
Oh, no.
Without offering much resistance.
Oh, shit.
Many of the men in the Union Cavalry shouted, "Remember Chambersburg," as they attacked.
You're pissed.
About 200 men were captured from the Maryland Cavalry units. Gibson's brigade continued south, wakened the 37th Battalion of the Virginia Cavalry. This unit fled in all directions, and Gibson's men did not need to shoot. This left the 36th Battalion, Virginia, between Gibson's brigade and General Johnson's headquarters at the McNeil House. We only got to get through you guys.
Well, guess what? 36 was like, I don't frickin' think so. They offered the best resistance Gibson had faced so far. But the surprised rebels were forced to retreat toward McNeil Farm. Near the McNeil House, the men from the Confederate Baltimore Battery attempted to fire canisters from their 2 guns, but the unit and the guns were captured by the 8th Ohio Cavalry before they could even be fired.
Shit. Rush up on these.
General Johnson was nearly captured when his headquarters was partially surrounded by Union cavalry. He escaped out the back door and jumped on a horse, racing south to the 8th Virginia.
He said, "Woo! Get out of here, boys!"
Right.
Well, the 8th Virginia Cavalry had enough warning from the commotion that its colonel ordered the men to horse.
Damn
They
right.
formed a line of battle.
You ain't kidding.
After a close fight, the 8th Virginia was overwhelmed and joined other Confederates fleeing to the river.
Wow.
During this fight, Captain Kerr was shot in the face and thigh.
Oh, shit.
And his horse was killed.
And Kerr lived, huh?
His wounds were not fatal, though, and he was able to capture the battle flag of the 8th Virginia using his saber.
Dude got shot in the face and the thigh and captured the flag.
Right. He was eventually awarded the Medal of Honor. He better fucking well be.
Damn right he was, sons of bitches. General Johnson noted in his report that besides the 1st and 2nd Maryland and a squadron of the 8th Virginia, there was not a saber in the command. Cool.
Yeah, so, meaning
right?
Nobody had the defenses to fight back except for with guns.
This was a disadvantage in cavalry warfare. Johnson's men were insufficiently armed for close combat with one-shot muskets.
Oh, can't be doing that.
How do you not have a freaking sword in your cavalry, man?
Right.
Holy shit. He added... Same thing.
No.
It's shorter.
Yeah, but it's not.
Right. He also added that the long Enfield musket, once discharged, could not be reloaded and lay helpless before the charging saber.
Well, it can be. It just
It
takes
must
too
take
long.
forever.
Colonel William Peters was able to get his 21st Virginia Cavalry Regiment ready for the oncoming Union Cavalry, but was driven back across the river.
I mean...
Earlier, Peters had refused to burn Chambersburg, and General McCausland had him arrested.
Oh, shit.
However, the arrest was revoked a short time later, and Peters led the rear guard when they left the burning town.
Fantastic.
Town still got burned.
Right.
He performed relatively well at Moorefield, leading portions of his regiment while they slowed the Federal advance on the south side of the river.
Look at that shit. See?
at him.
Come on, man. McCausland's brigade was on the south side of the south branch of the Potomac River. 14th Virginia Cavalry, commanded by Captain Edwin Bolden, was the portion of McCausland's brigade camped closest to the ford where the road crossed the river. Bolden, he faced a mob of men crossing the river that consisted of a mix of Union and Confederate soldiers. For a short while, he was able to slow down Gibson's brigade, which was becoming scattered and disorganized. After hearing the gunfire, Lieutenant Colonel John T. Radford, he ordered 22nd Virginia Cavalry into the fray. He said, "Get that shit, boys." Radford's cavalry rode to the west side of the 14th Virginia, and guess what? They're like, let's get this.
Join them. Averill had anticipated resistance at the river and had Powell's brigade ready. Major Seymour B. Conger of the 3rd West Virginia Cavalry led the attack across the river on the east side of the main road. On the west side of the road, the Lincoln Cavalry crossed the river unopposed.
I bet they did.
The New Yorkers circled behind the 22nd Virginia, forcing their regiment to retreat from the riverbank. Averill's men blamed McCausland for the burning of Chambersburg. In their zeal to get McCausland's brigade, they neglected their prisoners who were supposed to be moving north to the rear of Averill's force.
Oh, shit.
Okay, whatever.
Well, this enabled many prisoners from Johnson's brigade to escape. Among the men who crossed the river were General Johnson and Colonel Peters. After Johnson crossed the river, he expected to find Brigadier General McCausland with his command well in hand. Supposedly that's what he said. However, McCausland was in Moorefield, which is 3 miles away from his command. Johnson and remnants of the 27th Virginia Battalion, they joined with Colonel Peters.
Colonel Porter got the burst.
They joined with Colonel Peters and a large portion of the 21st Virginia behind the camps belonging to McCausland's brigade.
And they formed a battle line and fired into Gibson's brigade. But
shit.
Gibson was soon reinforced by Conger's regiment.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Peters was seriously wounded in this fighting.
Oh, shit.
Continuing their charge after McCausland's brigade, the Union Cavalry charged into the camp of the 16th Virginia Cavalry, which fled without resisting.
Oh, man.
Conger's 3rd West Virginia turned eastward and pursued rebels fleeing east down the road to Wardensville and Winchester. 17th Virginia Cavalry was camped near some woods east of the main road and had more time to prepare for the upcoming attack.
Fantastic, right? They formed a battle line while 3 companies waited behind a fence. Initially, they repulsed Conger's men, forcing them to retreat. But Conger was soon reinforced by Colonel Powell and the 1st West Virginia Cavalry, which was commanded by Colonel Henry Capehart.
He's like, let's get it back at it, boys.
We ain't done. The 2 regiments charged the Virginians and drove them down the road or into the woods, wherever they would get them.
Down the river and into the woods where the rebels will flee.
During this time, Conger was moited by a lieutenant from the 17th Virginia. The Virginian was wearing a blue coat that fooled Conger. Oh, it came back around and bit you guys in the ass. Wow. And Conger was like, "Oh, hey, buddy.
What are you doing over there?
All right, get your ass back in line." He's like, "No, you get on the ground."
Well, the 2 West Virginia regiments continued to pursue the Confederates down the road, capture McCausland's 2 pieces.
How many times have we seen this where these guys are just getting murdered by people?
Well, it's not their fault. What are you going to do,
I
man?
guess. But shit, it's just crazy.
Eventually, some of the fleeing rebels ran into Major Works, 22nd Pennsylvania, and had to scatter to the woods.
Oh, shit.
Works' men captured 34 of them. The fight and the pursuit of McCausland's brigade endured for about 4 miles until everyone was so scattered that pursuit was useless.
I bet.
Many of the Confederates were afraid of retaliation for their acts in Chambersburg and did not want to get caught with the money and items they took. This increased their desperation to flee Averill's men and caused them to leave their loot behind as well.
Oh, man.
A considerable amount of money was recovered from the rebel camps. Nice. Look at that.
Were they Confederate dollars or?
Oh, they
Most
stole it from Chambersburg.
Yeah. This battle was the last of 7 battles in Early's campaign against the B&O Railroad.
Yeah,
I bet it was.
Just get out of there early.
That was ridiculous. One Union soldier who was in the battle, he estimated that the loss to enemy and killed, wounded, and captured were near 800. The National Park Service listed estimated Confederate casualties as 500. The final report said that Averill captured 38 officers and 377 enlisted men.
Oh, shit.
In addition to killing at least 13 and wounding 60.
So do the math, folks. That's
500.
470.
500.
Right.
The old rebel losses to capture might have been higher. But due to the speed of Union advance by many rebel initially captured, were able to escape as they were sent to the rear.
Yeah, they're like, get the hell out of here, but this army's still moving. They don't give a fuck about it.
They're moving too fast.
Well, this victory cost Averill 11 killed, including 2 officers, 18 wounded, 13 captured. Those captured were probably stragglers found by McNeil's Rangers, who operated in the Moorefield area and chose not to camp with McCausland. Yeah. Ill feelings between Johnson and McCausland continued, and they blamed each other for the defeat. McCausland later wrote, the affair at Moorefield was caused by the surprise of Johnson's brigade. I mean, it was kind of. He also wrote that he knew of the approach of Averill and made the necessary orders to confront Averill if necessary. Oh, sure you did. Why didn't you do it then, you fucking piece of shit?
You dumbass. Johnson's report said he followed orders in all instances, including where to make camp and where to place pickets. His report also noted that McCausland was not with his brigade and was sleeping 3 miles away in Moorefield while his utterly unprepared brigade was being attacked, which is true. Johnson also complained about the outrageous conduct of the troops on this expedition. He was especially unhappy with the conduct of the Confederate soldiers while in Pennsylvania and Maryland. He reported that highway robbery of watches and pocketbooks was of ordinary occurrence. The taking of breastpins, finger rings, and earrings frequently happened. Pillage and sack of private dwellings took place hourly. A soldier of an advance guard robbed his gold watch. The Catholic clergyman of Hancock on his way from church on Sunday.
Wow.
Moorefield was another major victory for Averill, who typically did well when operating on his own, but he had difficulty with direct supervision where he was expected to work in concert with others. He does not play well with others.
Or others.
Right. With others. He hurts them. Right. He had already scored victories at Droop Mountain and Rutherford's Farm.
He did?
And he was one of the few Union cavalry leaders that achieved success in the East before the arrival of General Philip Sheridan.
Major Stephen P. Halsey of the 21st Virginia described Averill's victory at Moorefield as, quote unquote, one of the most brilliant achievements of the war. This is a Confederate guy saying this, by the way. Major Theodore F. Lang, you about to face the Undertaker, playa, from the 6th West Virginia Cavalry, wrote that the fight was one of the most signal victories for the Union cause during the war.
Okay.
The devastating loss crippled Early's cavalry in the Shenandoah Valley. It became half the size it was. I'm half the size I used to be. It had 2 of its better brigades decimated.
Oh.
The loss also demoralized the remaining members of Early's cavalry.
Damn.
Early later wrote that the battle had a very damaging effect upon my cavalry for the rest of the campaign. Victory also marked the beginning of the permanent ascendancy of the Union cavalry in the Shenandoah Valley. Oh,
yes,
they're in there now, baby.
Shit's falling apart.
They're in there now.
Falling apart for the old ribs.
Yeah.
Quickly. What we just read there, everybody, all the rebels' little line of defenses that were set up with the cavalry were all easily overran.
That's what happens when you take them by surprise.
Right. And the fact that they should always have an exit strategy. Hey, if this happens, there's just which way we're going, not just.
Well, stupid McCausland didn't even think that nobody was nearby.
Right. Scatter all around and you have nothing. And then you need to go where your other defensive lines are at, so that way you can at least make those larger. And hopefully, as you keep on going back, you finally have a large enough army to have a good fight, which I don't know why they just didn't line up with each other and just fire away, boys.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Well, we'll never know. Second Battle of Dalton fought on 15th August, 1864, between the Union and Confederate armies in Whitfield County, northern Georgia.
Georgia.
Rebel cavalry, commanded by Major General Joseph Wheeler, raided northern Georgia to disrupt William T. Sherman's supply lines and destroy the old railroad track, hoping to force Sherman to retreat from the state.
Yeah,
you don't think that's
that
going to
one,
do
buddy.
it? August 14th, Wheeler demanded the surrender of the Union garrison at Dalton, Georgia.
Dalton?
Commanded by Colonel Bernard Lebold. Lebold refused and held. It's Laibold, guys. Colonel Lebold. He refused to surrender, and he held out inside his fortifications, though sporadic fighting continued until midnight.
Until midnight. We're gonna have sporadic fighting. Pew pew. The next morning, Wheeler ended his attack and prepared to retreat. Oh, good for you, Wheeler.
Ridiculous.
Union reinforcements arrived from Chattanooga, commanded by Major General James Steedman, and engaged Wheeler's cavalry. Skirmishing continued for 4 hours before the Confederates finally left the field. The amount of damage inflicted by Wheeler on the railroad is debatable. However, Major General George Thomas in Nashville reported that the track south of Dalton was quickly repaired and trains running again within 2 days. Growth of the city of Dalton has since destroyed the battlefield landscape and its historic setting.
Of course it was.
This is the second battle of Dalton. There's 2 battles in your fucking little piece of shit city. You
Right.
destroy it?
Destroy it, you stupid bitch.
Jeez. All of you guys live in Dalton.
Right. Assholes. Hope you know what you're living on.
Right. Okay. I don't even want to know what the demographics of this is.
Let's move on. This is the second battle of Deep Bottom.
Oh, Deep Bottom.
Also known as Fussel's Mill, particularly in the South.
Right.
New Market Road, Bailey's Creek, Charles City Road, or just simply White's Tavern.
Right.
It was fought August 14th through the 20th of 1864 at Deep Bottom in Henrico County, Virginia, during the siege of Petersburg. Hey, we're going back to Grant, huh?
Yep.
Deep Bottom is the colloquial name for an area of James River in Henrico County, 11 miles southeast of Richmond, Virginia.
Enrico.
North side at a horseshoe-shaped bend in the river known as Jones Neck. That's what this place is called.
Yeah.
It was so named because of the depth of the river bottom at that point.
Deep. I'm in the deep.
I'm in the deep. Stand up.
Right.
It was a convenient crossing point for the Bermuda 100 on the side of the south of the river.
Right. The Bermuda 100's outside of the river.
Right. It was a convenient crossing point from the Bermuda 100 area on the south side of the river.
Lieutenant General Ulysses S. Grant began drinking binge.
Oh, shit.
And a siege of the city of Petersburg after initial assaults on June 15th to the 18th failed to break through. While Union cavalry conducted the Wilson Culch raid June 22nd to the July 1st, in an attempt to cut the railroad lines leading into Petersburg, Grant and his generals planned a renewed assault on the Petersburg fortifications. In the first Battle of Deep Bottom, July 27th through the 29th, Grant sent a force under Major Generals Winfield S. Hancock and Philip Sheridan on an expedition threatening Richmond and its railroads, intended to attract Confederate troops away from the Petersburg defensive line. Like, they're going towards Richmond. We got to get out of here. Not so fast, buddy.
Right, jackasses. Union infantry and cavalry force was unable to break through the old rebel fortifications at Bailey's Creek and also Fussel's Mill, and they withdrawed. But it achieved its desired effect of momentarily reducing rebel strength at Petersburg.
Momentarily.
That's what he wanted. That's what Grant wanted, and he knew that Lee would move them armies. And he did. The planned attack on the fortifications went ahead on the 30th of July, but the resulting Battle of the Crater, which we had last time,
Last week, and it was just so terrible.
it was an
terrible.
embarrassing Union defeat, a fiasco of mismanaged resources by Ulysses S. Grant's subordinates at a steep cost in casualties.
Dude, let's all pile into this big-ass hole.
Just think of it this way. Lincoln, Halleck, and Grant are not too happy.
Well, the same day of that Union failure at the crater, Confederate Lieutenant General Jubal Early was burned in the town of Chambersburg. Yes.
Right.
Which threatened the towns in Maryland and Pennsylvania, as well as the District of Columbia.
It did.
Robert E. Lee was concerned about actions that Grant might take against Early.
Oh, sure.
Grant, in the first week of August, designated Sheridan to command a consolidated army of the Shenandoah to challenge Early with almost 40,000 men.
That'd be a battle, baby. Well, Lee sent the infantry division of Major General Joseph B. Kershaw from Lieutenant General Richard H. Anderson's corps, and the cavalry division commanded by Major General Fitzhugh Lee. He's like, guys, Culpeper, Virginia is where you're going, baby, where they could either provide aid to Early or be recalled to Richmond, Petersburg area if they needed.
Oh, look at that. See, that's what you do.
That's perfect.
Within a day's march between both, probably?
Right. Grant misinterpreted this movement and assumed that Anderson's entire corps had been removed from the vicinity of Richmond, leaving only 8,500 men north of the James.
You assumed wrong.
Right. He determined to try again with an advance toward the old rebel capital. This would either prevent reinforcements from aiding Early or once again dilute the rebel strength in the defensive lines around Petersburg. Both would work, right?
Well, Hancock was again assigned as a senior general on the expedition. August 13th, the 10th Corps, commanded by Major General David Birney, Brigadier General David Gregg's cavalry, and Hancock's 2nd Corps artillery crossed pontoon bridges from Bermuda 100 north to Deep Bottom.
Fantastic.
Meanwhile, the remainder of the 2nd Corps conducted a ruse to make the Confederates think that Hancock was being sent north to reinforce Sheridan. Oh, look at that. After a grueling march through oppressive heat to City Point, a march during which a number of the men were felled by heat stroke.
Oh, shit.
The troops embarked on ships and steamed toward the Chesapeake Bay, many of the individual soldiers unaware of their destination.
Dude, these guys were wearing like cotton freaking...
Yeah, like baseball.
My gosh, right. Well, at this very time, a tugboat followed the flotilla and brought new orders, which caused the transport ships to turn around.
Uh-oh.
And deposit the 2nd Corps at Deep Bottom the night of the 13th, 14th of August.
Uh-oh.
The landings were not managed well. Fell behind schedule.
Why not?
Grant's staff had not arranged for adequate wharves to handle the deep water steamers.
After all his troops were finally across the James August 14th, Hancock positioned Birney's 10th Corps on the left, Hancock's 3rd Division of the 2nd Corps under Brigadier General Gershom Mott in the center, Hancock's 1st and 2nd Divisions under Brigadier General Francis Barlow, who was temporarily commanding in the absence of Major General John Gibbon. They were on the right.
Oh.
Birney was ordered to demonstrate against Newmarket Heights while the 2nd Corps divisions attempted to turn the Confederate left.
Oh, okay. Got a little plan going on here, huh? Mott, well, he was pushed forward on the Newmarket Road toward Richmond. Barlow, he was to attack Fussell's Mill on the Darbytown Road. They sent Gregg's cavalry, old Gregg, they sent his cavalry to cover in the right flank of the army and to also look for an opportunity to race into Richmond if he could. Birney's troops, they successfully pushed aside pickets on the Kingsland Road, but they were stopped by fortifications on Newmarket Heights. Gain some, lose some.
Right.
2nd Corps, they moved slowly into position, suffering numerous deaths from heat stroke. Jeez. Oh, my.
It was not until midday, August 14th, that Barlow's men made contact with the Confederates who were manning rifle pits on the Darbytown Road just north of the Long Bridge Road. Union generals were surprised at the Confederate strength. In Birney's and Mott's fronts, a full Confederate division commanded by Major General Charles Field was dug in. Chaffin's Bluff was defended by a division under Major General Cadmus Wilcox, plus reinforcements were arriving. Because of Barlow's slow approach in the heat, the Confederates had time to reinforce the Fussell's Mill area with a section of howitzers and Brigadier General George Anderson's Georgia Brigade.
Senor Duck, got some howitzers up in this bitch, huh? Well, Hancock, he had intended for Barlow to be his primary attack, and instructed him to employ sufficient mass along the Darbytown Road. But instead, Barlow formed a wide line that reached as far as Mott's right flank. Because of this extension and the thick woods through which they had to advance, Barlow's 10,000 men and the 2 divisions that were left, with only a single brigade attacking Fussell's Mill.
Uh-oh.
Those men were able to drive away 2 Confederate cavalry regiments from Brigadier General Martin Gary's brigade at the mill, but Anderson's brigade repulsed it.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, when Field took Anderson's brigade from his right flank, it weakened the line in front of Birney's corps, which moved forward and occupied some of the Confederate entrenchments and captured 4 guns.
Oh, shit.
Although Union attacks had been generally unsuccessful, they had some of the effect Grant desired. Lee became convinced that the threat against Richmond was a serious one, and he began moving his troops to the front.
Oh, okay. He dispatched 2 infantry brigades of Major General William Mahone's division and cavalry divisions of Major General Wade Hampton and WHF Rooney Lee. Grant ordered Hancock to resume his attacks on the 15th of August, and Hancock decided to continue with his emphasis on the Confederate left. He's like, we're just going to keep on attacking that right there. Just go, 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 baby. He ordered Birney's corps to make a night march to join Barlow's end of the line. Although it was raining that night, the oppressive heat continued, and more than a third of Birney's men fell out of count. Damn. fell to their demise.
Birney's movement was delayed by difficult terrain for most of August 15th, and Hancock's plan for an early morning attack had to be abandoned.
Oh, shit.
They reached Fussel's Mill around 1 p.m., and Birney spent the entire afternoon performing a reconnaissance while his men recovered from their march.
Damn right.
After this, Birney judged that it was too late in the day to attack.
Right. I'm tired. It's hot.
Right. Early in the morning of August 16th, Gregg's cavalry swept to the right to Glendale and then rode northwest on the Charles City Road towards Richmond.
Oh, here we go, baby. They found Rooney Lee's cavalry division blocking that very road, though, and a full day of fighting resulted. The Union cavalrymen drove the enemy as far as White's Tavern, but were eventually pushed back to Fisher's Farm. Confederate Brigadier General John Chambliss was moited. Oh, no.
Bye-bye, Chambliss.
Damn, dude, there's guys. Look at this. The infantrymen of the 10th Corps had a better start to the day, as Brigadier General Alfred Terry's division, led by Colonel Francis Bates Pond's brigade, they broke through the rebel line.
Well, Wright's brigade of the rebels, commanded by newly promoted Brigadier General Victor Garraraday, was hit hard and retreated, opening a significant gap.
Oh, no.
Garraraday was killed by a bullet in the head while brandishing the colors of the 64th Georgia.
That's two brigadiers right there.
Yep. Field later,
And he was holding the flag.
and holding the flag.
Oh, shit.
Field later wrote, not only the day, but Richmond also seemed to be gone.
You ain't kidding.
The heavily wooded terrain prevented Birney and Hancock from understanding that they had reached a position of advantage.
Right.
And they were unable to exploit it before Field rearranged his lines to fill the gap.
Just think if that was an open field right there. They would have had him.
Colonel William Oates led two Alabama regiments in initial counterattack and was wounded. Robert E. Lee had arrived north of James by this time and witnessed the action. He's like, what the fuck is going on with me? Where's Stonewall? Where's Jeb? I need my guys.
You ain't kidding. Holy shit.
Polk.
Right.
Everybody's dead.
Well, no fighting occurred on the 17th of August, and a truce was called to allow the two sides to retrieve their dead and wounded. General Lee planned a counterattack against the Union right for 11 a.m. on the 18th of August. A cavalry attack on the Charles City Road, accompanied by an infantry attack at Fussel's Mill. He's like, let's do this shit. The effort was poorly coordinated. The cavalry was not ready to move until 5 p.m. Oh, shit. Neither the cavalry nor the infantry made any significant gains before dark.
Gotta get those gains.
That night, Hancock sent a 2nd Corps division back to Petersburg to man a part of the trench line, while other units were sent from there to the Battle of Globe Tavern at the Wilmington and Weldon Railroad, south of the city. By the night of the 20th of August, 1864, having observed no more actions by Lee, Hancock was like, guess what? Let's draw back. We'll go back over to the James River.
A threatening position was maintained for a number of days with more or less skirmishing and some tolerably hard fighting. There was no particular victory gained on either side, but during this time, no more reinforcements were sent to the valley. Ulysses S. Grant. Union casualties were approximately 2,900 men, some due to heat stroke. Confederate casualties were 1,500. General Gregg, Brigadier General John Chambliss's classmate when they attended West Point, took charge of the cavalryman's body. Yeah, didn't they have like a thing earlier on in the war where they were like they demanded coffee if he won the fucking battle or some shit like that?
Right, and he finally took him out. Right. That's sad. He later sent it through the lines to Chambliss's widow. She had her husband buried in Chambliss's family cemetery in Emporia, Virginia. As at the first Battle of Deep Bottom, the old Federal assault had failed against a smaller defensive force.
Yep.
However, this time the operation had compelled General Lee to detach forces from Petersburg and Bermuda Hundred to deal with the old Union advance. This also prevented him from reinforcing early in the Shenandoah Valley.
Yeah, well, look at that.
So it worked out.
Right. And General Lee is not doing very well.
Right. That's so fucking crazy.
Well, the American Battlefield Trust and its partners have acquired and preserved more than 223 acres of the second Deep Bottom battlefield. The battlefield is 11 miles southeast of Richmond, but looks much as it did during the Civil War.
No shit.
That's going to do it for us in this episode of
That was technically a Confederate victory, huh?
Yep.
Wow.
I wouldn't have been.
I mean, I guess.
I wouldn't have been. This is the first Confederate victory in almost 3 weeks for them, too.
Well, since the cradle. Well, the crater.
They didn't win the crater.
Yeah, of course they did. Kicked ass on the crater.
No, they won Battle of Browns Mill right after that. Same day, actually.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, coming up next week, we'll have the Battle of Guard Hill in Virginia. We'll have the Battle of Gainesville, Florida.
Look at that shit.
And that aforementioned Battle of Globe Tavern and possibly the Battle of Lovejoy.
Reverend Lovejoy Station?
As well. Yeah, our next big battle coming up, probably about 2 or 3 episodes, Battle of Jonesboro, a battle. And then we got the Battle of Opequon, a couple battles after that. So the third battle, Winchester. Winchestersonville, Iowa.
Then we go back to Atlanta.
Then we go back to Atlanta. Everywhere.
I mean, Alabama.
Is that right?
Not Atlanta.
Sulphur Creek Trestle. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, back to Florida.
We'll do it. The Battle of Mariana, Florida.
And it's probably going to be Virginia from here on out.
Right. Mostly. Oh, Tennessee's Georgia, North Carolina. Ain't been in North Carolina. North South Carolina. Colorado. Yes. The Sand Creek Massacre. Uh-oh.
Dirty bastards. And that's the Union.
Well, maybe. We don't know that.
Fuckers.
We don't know that at all. Matter at Bang Dang Network for our YouTube. Give us a subscription. Or if you listen on Spotify, Apple, share us with your friends. Give us a review and answer that Spotify questions. We'll be back next week for more Battles of the American Civil War. We are the Mother Music Industry.